Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As I was just saying, we're going to take a look today at using the provided Visio template for creation of the standard set, what we consider to be a standard set of engineering drawings for a project, which would include a rough end plan, rack elevation drawing, and schematic. There we go. Just getting started, John. Welcome aboard. As I was saying, we're going to be taking a look at using this Visio template that we provide with our template project for new clients to D-Tools, and using that to create these standard drawing sets. So when you open a project that's got files associated with it, it's just going to be a matter of right-clicking, and you could say Open in Visio, and then select the drawing that you want. I have gone ahead and opened that, and where we start is actually with background pages. So using a background page allows you to insert graphics as few times as possible. The cover page is a graphic. It doesn't need to be duplicated to every page of the drawing. You can put it on a background page and then reference the background. So our basic structure for this template is we put our border on a background page, and you can use the, if you select this item, which is in fact a big stencil, you can open up and edit the object. So this would allow you, if you did need to make any changes or edit for your business purposes or for a project, you can literally go in and modify text here. You could drop a different logo in. You could change the name of the project, call it sample test project. Do things like this on the background page and then just close that, and what you'll see then is that that's going to translate out. The change that I just made is going to translate out because each of these pages references the background. So if we were to, and in fact the plan view pages, we take it a step further. We have the border page, but then we go ahead and create background pages for the floor plans. So what we'll do here is that we actually reference the border with this page, and the way that looks, what that looks like is if we go into design and we come over here to page properties, we can see that the background we're looking towards is background border. So so this background page is looking to this background page, and then if we can insert a floor plan here, and if we come and look on our plan view page now, you'll see that that is actually referencing the background lower level. So the gist of all that is that I can come in here and insert a floor plan. So let's take a moment to talk about that. Getting your file converted into a WMF or an EMF from a DWG or a PDF file is a process unto itself. And being completely candid, I've come to a place where I don't do it. I have one of our audio design guys who know CAD and Adobe Illustrator far better than I do, prep backgrounds. And so if we need to have a call where we just spend some time on that, I could certainly arrange that, and you guys can let me know if that's something you would be interested in. In this case, we've already got some floor plans prepped. So what I can do is I am just looking at the file sizes. My EMFs are generally slightly smaller than the WMF files. So I'm going to go ahead and insert one of those. So I can open that up and insert it. That'll drop this onto my page. Now another little nifty trick, especially if you've got a house plan that's got 2 floors and you want them to be scaled the same. If you assuming you converted the drawing out of the DWG and your background files are similar size, you can use this first page basically as a place to drop a couple of files. So I'll insert another, let's say the C level or an A level. I can drop this on, and then if I wanted to make these similar, so this one's smaller, so I'm going to move it out of the way. I'll move this one up onto my page. So if I'm feeling like, well, this is a little large for this page, I can Control and grab both of them and just reduce them in size slightly together. Get the one plan that I want to be the size I want, and then I can just cut and paste this one onto a different floor. So I could cut and put this on. This could be, we'll drop that on. D-Tools likes to drop this stencil on occasionally. I'm not sure, frankly, why that happens. So the other thing that I'll do is take a look at the whole page, and using your X and Y coordinates down in your size and position window, you can set this to be like 63 feet, and it's already at 52, but let's just say it's 50. And get this onto the page where we want it, and then I can actually easily translate that to the other page so they line up. So I'm at 63 and 50. I could come over here and likewise do 63 feet and 50 feet. And that'll go ahead and position that in similar location to my floor plan here. So now when I come back to my plan view page, now I've got some little text boxes here that will move out of the way. So that goes ahead and puts this onto any page that references that particular background. Likewise here. So if I wanted to do plan view pages, security pages, central backlight layouts, lighting layouts, any of that sort of thing, I don't have to drop that large image file onto multiple pages. And just as importantly, from a time-saving standpoint, it's not unusual that we see bedroom names or room names evolve over the course of a project. So what started out on the architectural plan as being bedroom may well turn into a kid's room or something. So this becomes maybe it becomes Sue's bedroom, and you can create a you can actually create a little text block for that, and on the background page either cover it up. If I made this background, let's see, we go format, fill, now let's do this. Well, not looking too smart here. I'll fix that later. We don't have time. The gist is that now I could come back over here, and whatever I put on this background page, obviously, is going to show up on my plan view pages. So now this will show up across any pages that reference that background. So again, the point of this is that we can put the file on, and now we're in a position to be able to start dropping icons on. So let's spend a minute. We'll go ahead and talk about the rough-in plan, and we've covered this a little bit in demos before, but I'll just touch on it again. So first thing we're going to do is let's get some packages dropped in. So we'll open our Package Explorer. Talked about packages in our last call. We'll pin this open. We'll use a package group to filter to our pre-wire packages. And I'll go ahead and, since we don't have any rooms assigned yet, again, first step in getting a new project put together. Now, presumably, you'd be doing this work after a proposal was already generated, but let's go ahead and drop a couple of rooms in. We'll sort to room. And let's just focus on family room for the time being. So now, let's say I want to do my 7.1 surround system in here. So I will grab a 7.1. I always like to assign a system. I'm going to put in the family room. We'll go ahead and drag that in. And of course, that's going to query us for our head-end locations. We'll leave this AVC head-end, 150 feet for the primary cable runs. Well, in this case, it's surround, so they're all going back to the head-end. So we'll assign that. And then let's go ahead and get a an HD-based-T pre-wire package for a display in there. And again, have a video head end and net head end for those. That looks good. So we'll drop that in. Now, let's hide the accessories and just focus on our cables. And then this gets back to our stencils, using our brackets for building our plan view. So I'll close our rooms, and we'll give ourselves a little bit of space for our Visio drawing. So let's just assume that the great room is our family room, and what I want to do then is I want to get my surround sound, highlight these, and let's get these located on the page. Again, the assignments for, just as a reminder, by using these pre-wire bracket placeholders, we're able to assign shapes accordingly. So in this case, these are bracket speaker rounds, so they reference our round speaker icon. If for whatever reason those needed to change, you can do that. There's a function. You can go into D Tools, Shape, and then Change Shape, and pick a different shape from the list of stencils. So if we went into the plan icon graphics, open that up. If I needed a speaker, say I wanted, for whatever reason, I wanted that to be a speaker invisible. That might be an option. And it'll go ahead and apply the different shape. In this case, it goes to a square speaker with a dashed line around it to match that icon. So now what I can do is just get those basically located where I need them. So, let's say we're doing, so we just stay on the theme. We'll repeat that process. D Tools, we're going to shape, going to change shape, and we'll make these front speakers invisible speakers. So same process, come in here, scroll down to speaker invisible. And we can go ahead and let's say that those are, open this up a little more. So those are dispersed along here, and then maybe our surround speakers are, positioned accordingly, and our sub is maybe in a cabinet or something here. So we can do that. Now we want to get our speaker wires. So we'll just highlight those, drag those on the page, see what that looks like. So now we've got our cables, and now it's just a matter really of deciding kind of how you want to position those to be easiest to read. They're going to, because we're using our cable placeholders, it's a 14.2 speaker wire. So the way that comes across is 14.2 speaker. This is the component ID, and this is the head end. So for our technicians' purposes, they can see that this is a 14.2 speaker wire, and that it is, they can label it accordingly, and that it's going back to the AVC head end. You can also use guidelines. If you come over here to the ruler, you can pull a guideline on if you want these to line up. Now we can just grab, so I'm actually going to flip these, do this, and you get the gist. I can get these all positioned where I want them, but what I can do now then is just pull this over to my guideline, and you can just begin to arrange things where you want. You can also, sometimes these will get spaced out a little bit. You may want this to be up a little tighter, and you can just grab the little handle right there. So that's basically the way you'd go about creating your rough end plan. And we're halfway through, so I better get on to some other things. So that's the rough end plan. So let's go ahead and take a look at the schematic. I think that's probably of fundamental importance. So again, we'll open up our... Now I want to go ahead and add, as we've talked about before, we like to add a sublocation for remote equipment. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my family room, and I'm going to say add a sublocation, and I can, DTools calls that a closet. I'm going to create a remote equipment location. Save and close that. Now let's just grab some pieces we need for a quick surround system. So we'll pin this open, and we'll start with a TV. Put this under display devices in the family room, and we'll just grab this 75-inch TV, one location, one system. We're good to go there, so we'll drop that in. I'm just going to take the pre-checked accessories, so we'll do that there. Let's grab a surround receiver, DTR 40.7 say. We're going to put that in the remote equipment location under surround sound. So we'll pull that in right quick. Again, I'll just take the pre-checked accessories. Let's get a, let's just grab an owner-furnished cable box, cable DVR. That's also remote equipment, part of the surround system, so we'll drag that in. And finally, we'll grab an extender set. We'll get this kit, drag that in. So now we've got some pieces for a schematic. So we can close this. We'll close this, give ourselves a little more room on this single screen. And now I'll come over to a schematic page. And one of the things we like to do is create some room blocks. We actually have a little, some stencils that we created for that. We've got a gray stencil that we like to use for our head-end locations, actually for our room locations. I take that back. I'll move this over here. And then our little tan bubble for our head-end location. So I'll just pull these out a little bit, give myself a little bit of room to work. So this, I could say, is my AV head end. This be my family room. So now what I can do is, in my remote equipment location, I have my surround receiver with its related cables, so I can drop that in. So there's my surround receiver. Here's my cable box with its related cable, so we'll drop that in. And if we just gave ourselves a little more space here, another thing you can do, just as a side note, is when you get these background blocks sized the way you want them, I'm just going to give myself a little more room. You could assign these to a layer, and okay, so they're already assigned a room. So what I could do is I could go into my layer properties, and I could take my room and lock it. Now I can work in here and not accidentally highlight my room and have it moving around all the time. So this just lets me operate down in this space, move things around the way I want them to, I need or want to. Let me move this over a little bit more. And not have my background shifting around on me. So now I can go ahead and connect my power cord, connect my LAN cable, connect my IR emitter if that's the way we're going to control this thing. Likewise, get the cables for my cable box up here where I can work on them. So we'll take our HDMI out here, connect it to an HDMI in here, get our power cord, IR emitter, our F cable here. And then likewise, so now let's go ahead and get our extender pieces. Let's just grab the receiver, transmitter, and power cable. So now I can drop my transmitter down here, say that requires a power cable. I am going to need my HDMI cables with that. So now I can take my HDMI out, connect that to my HDMI in here, arrange my line a little bit so all my labels work out. Go ahead and get our receiver up here with its HDMI out. And now we can grab our TV. Actually, while I'm in the location, I'll grab my HD-Base-T cable, which is on my rough end plan, of course. And then I'll get my TV with its related cables. And get that positioned. And we'll connect our HD-Base-T cable. And that's the gist of how you build it. So now you can very quickly begin to see what your resource requirements are going to be. We're going to need power for these devices at the head end. We're going to need power over here at the family room. We've got a network connection here. It's entirely likely that we may need a switch here at the TV, or we may have cabling. We may have pre-wired so that we can connect to a switch. We've got a data cable, so we could actually connect to a switch back at the head end location. But that's the gist of getting your schematic put together. So now we've got just a couple of minutes left. Let's take a look at the rack drawing. We've actually got a shape on that stencil that's a quote-unquote dumb shape. It's not linked to a D-Tools item. But let's go ahead and jump in here real quick and just grab, we'll go this way. As we all know, there are multiple ways to get products entered here. Let's go to, say, Middle Atlantic. This would be, presumably you've already got your proposal built again, but this is a great place if you're building a proposal to have packages, because a rack package, in fact, let's go to Sanus. Or actually, let's go to SnapAV. Make that strong. We're not SnapAV anymore. So let's grab a 42, we'll go to equipment racks. We would put that down here in our racks and power location. And let's just go ahead and add and close that because we're running out of time. We'll get some screws with it. Now I can drag my rack onto the page. We created a little rack ruler that we use that you can show spaces with. eTools has actually added that as one of their, they have a rack ruler now that's just built into one of their, I think it's under their elevation shapes. Not elevation shapes. They have a rack ruler in here. We don't, to be honest with you, I haven't played with it because we use the one we have, but it is available, and it's handy just in terms of being able to, for the text to be able to see what rack space they're on. But basically, shapes are linked to elevation shapes. So now I can bring my surround receiver, I could pull that on the page, position it where I need, maybe down lower. Now our cable box, given that it's owner furnished, we may not have dimensions. We do have some base dimensions assigned to it, but if for whatever reason your cable box was a different size, obviously it's owner furnished, so it could vary. You can just go in and go into specs, and you could make this, let's say it's 1.75 high, and make that a little smaller. There's also some things that you can do with the text, like that gets very difficult to read. So if you drag that off to the side, it'll open up to a decent font size that you could be able to read. You can also break that up. So if you wanted to, I want to show it. I'm going to take the merge function off, and I could keep the component ID on the shape and just save some space off to the side. So with that, we are approaching 10:30. Building a rack drawing is basically doing that sort of a thing. This block that we give you is grouped. If you needed, we don't want Middle Atlantic in there, for instance, I could ungroup this and either replace that with a different logo or take that out altogether. If, changing, we've got some old text down here, can potentially, depending on what, put your company name down here, smart company, kind of a thing. So you can play around with that. You can even delete that piece off. This is all just Visio stuff. Group this. So that's the gist of how you put the three drawing shapes together. Got a minute left. Does anybody have any quick questions?
Hey Kurt, I got the wire stencils, but that AD graphics page.
Yeah.
We should be getting that too.
Let me check with Rich. I don't know if he's been putting that in as a typical, but we certainly could. It's got a lot of handy stuff on it. You wouldn't necessarily know what they're for until you play with them. But yeah, let me. You know what? Let me just send a note to Rich, and he can put that in for you.
Okay.
Yeah, just while I'm in here, there's lots of little stuff like, in the schematics while I'm looking at it, like where you've got power. We have this little, power call out thing. We'll use sometimes, just to show that that's plugging into power in the room. There's also other little room bubbles for off-page references. So if this is, I want to see S1 control, if that's my control page. Of course, you could change, maybe my control page is S3. So that's a quick and easy way to create some off-page references there. So yeah, there's some handy stuff down there that, some of these, like for plan view drawings, I pulled, let me open this back up. You notice at the front, I pulled these things off, but, oftentimes, when we don't know where cameras are going to go, we just drop them into these room blocks, and that's what all these little location things are for. So yeah, there's a lot of handy stuff there. In fact, there's our rack ruler. So if I was on the racks page, this just pulls on like so, and if it's a different size, you can ungroup it. And let's say it's, it's a 32 space rack. You just chop the top, and now you've got a 32 ruler. It's not, and you just regroup it like so. So yeah, so we'll get that done for you. Anyone else? Because I don't want to keep you guys long.
Nothing else for me.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate your time. Hopefully it's been helpful. Shoot me any questions you have. And again, if you have any suggestions for next time, let me know and we'll take them on. Thank you very much and have a
Thanks,
great,
Kurt.
you're welcome. Have a great rest of your day.